All right. So the next thing we're going to talk about is complementary counting. Now, this is again complement with an E, okay, which comes from the word complete. Okay. So, just to illustrate what I mean by complementary counting, I want to first of all ask you a really simple question. Um, of the 26 letters of the English alphabet, how many are not vowels? Okay. So, you can think about that. Probably don't have to think too long. Um, and probably the way you're going to think about it is, okay, well, let's see. We have A, E, I, O, U. And we're going to assume Y is a consonant. Okay, so let's assume that Y is a consonant. Consonant. Oops, consonant. All right, so if we assume Y is a consonant, then we have 5 vowels, right? And in order to figure out how many of the 26 letters in the English alphabet are not vowels, we would just take, okay, 26 minus 5. So that tells us that 21 have to be consonants. Consonants. All right? What you did right there was called complementary counting. So instead of counting directly what you want, you figured out what you weren't looking for, the vowels, and subtracted it from the total number of letters in the English alphabet, right? That's a whole lot easier rather than going through and saying, okay, let's see, no, not A. B, C, D, okay, well, not E. That would be counting directly if you just went through the alphabet and counted the consonants. But it's a lot easier to count the vowels. Okay, so that is complementary counting. You're counting the opposite of what you want and subtracting it from the total number of ways. And oftentimes in counting problems, that's the way to go. It's much easier to count what you don't want and then subtract from the total. So let's take a look at example 11. Since example 10 was so easy, here's one that's not quite as easy. This one is asking how many 4-letter sequences using the English alphabet can be formed that contain at least one vowel. At least one vowel. Okay, so let's think about that. It has at least one. But that at least one means, okay, it could have one, or it could have two, or it could have three. It could even be a sequence of all 4 vowels. So if we tried to count it directly, we'd have to like break it down into casework and say, okay, how many ways would there be to select just one vowel? But the vowel could go anywhere. So it gets a little complicated if you try to count it directly. The easier way is to recognize that at least one vowel, the opposite of that, the thing you don't want to count the ones that are have no vowels, right? We don't want to count the C, D, F, R, right? That wouldn't count because it doesn't have a vowel in it. So it's a lot easier to count the number of ways to create a 4-letter sequence with no vowels. Okay, so let's figure out what that would be. Well, we already know that there's 21 consonants. So if we were creating a sequence of 21, or a sequence of 4 letters, we'd have 21 choices for the first letter, 21 choices. We're going to assume we can repeat letters. 21 choices for the third letter, and then finally 21 choices for the third letter. Okay, that would give us a number of ways of in which we could get a 4-letter sequence with no vowels. Okay, now that's what we don't want, right? Now what we can do then is subtract it from the total number of ways to create a 4-letter sequence with no restrictions. Okay, we have 26 letters in the English alphabet, so if we wanted to know how many ways there are to create a 4-letter sequence with no restrictions, we'd have 26 choices for the first letter, 26 for the second, 26 for the third, and 26 for the fourth. Okay, so that would give us the number of ways with no restrictions. Okay, and then we can just subtract, right? So we can just take this 26 to the 4th power minus 21 to the 4th power, and we'd get our answer. So as it turns out, we have 262,495 4-letter sequences letter sequences that have at least one vowel. All right. So I'll meet you for the next video.